Hey guys, it's Owen from Wrestling Inc. back with another wrestling news roundup. Without any further ado, let's get into today's biggest stories in the world of professional wrestling.
MJF reportedly spotted in city of imminent AEW event. MJF received a pay raise from AEW in January, but is still making a lot less money than ex-WWE talents such as CM Punk, Bryan Danielson, Christian Cage, Mark Henry, Malachi Black, and Adam Cole, according to Wade Keller of PW Torch. Besides the aforementioned wrestlers who signed lucrative deals with AEW in 2021, there are others such as Jon Moxley, Chris Jericho, and Kenny Omega, who continue to make a lot more money than MJF. On his latest PW Torch audio show, Keller disclosed that MJF started with AEW in 2019 on a starter deal which ranges from $40,000 to $70,000, but is now making, quote, hundreds of thousands of dollars, which is still modest compared to the salaries of other top AEW talents. Keller noted that the disparity in the pay structure has contributed greatly to MJF's ongoing issues with AEW. Quote, in many cases, those wrestlers are getting paid 4 or 5 times more than him, Keller said. So, MJF is, by all accounts, kind of fuming over this. He felt his work, his professionalism, his rapport, and friendship with Tony Khan would have led Tony renegotiating his deal when there was about 2 years left. And by the time January 1st, 2022 came around, yes, he got a new contract and a raise, but MJF was thinking, hey, come on, Tony, approach me. Get me on the level of some of these people that you keep bringing in. I'm doing great work, I'm drawing great ratings. And when Tony didn't do that, MJF, the way he handled it was to get very angry privately, and then it kind of exploded. And I think Tony was caught off guard by how angry MJF was getting. Keller then pointed out how MJF segments do better viewership than most AEW wrestlers, but his pay doesn't reflect his value to the company. According to PW Insider, Maxwell Jacob Friedman has arrived in Los Angeles ahead of AEW's Live Dynamite tonight at the Kia Forum Arena. It's unclear whether or not MJF will actually appear on the show, but he has been spotted at the LAX airport ahead of AEW's first show in LA. This follows reports from the Wrestling Observer that MJF and AEW president Tony Khan are set to meet tomorrow following the fallout from the controversial situation at AEW Double or Nothing. For those unaware, the issue started when MJF no-showed the AEW Double or Nothing FanFest meeting and greet on Saturday, and events that fans had already bought tickets for. After that situation, it was also reported that MJF had purchased a plane ticket to leave Las Vegas, where Double or Nothing was being held, just before his match with Wardlow. After all the hoopla leading into the pay-per-view, MJF did show up and convincingly lost to Wardlow. The AEW loudmouth was stretchered out after taking several powerbombs from his former bodyguard. MJF reportedly showed up just before his match and then left the arena immediately afterward. Wrestling Inc. managing editor Nick Hausman asked Tony Khan to comment on the situation during the Double or Nothing media scrums. However, the AEW president declined to make a statement. Backstage news on status of Sasha Banks and Naomi's WWE contracts. It has been 15 days since Naomi and Sasha Banks took off before WWE Monday Night Raw hit the airwaves. Since then, WWE has suspended the duo indefinitely, removed their merchandise from WWE Shop, and condemned them in a statement for no showing an advertised match. And if one is thinking things could be smoothed over soon, a new report is here to throw cold water on that. In a new report, Fightful Select has revealed that communication between WWE and Banks or Naomi's camps has ranged from minuscule to non-existent. They also noted that WWE has cancelled any travel Banks or Naomi may have had in the future, another indication that WWE at least sees no resolution coming anytime soon. The report gets interesting, however, when discussing comments from the Wrestling Observer newsletter's Dave Meltzer regarding Banks and Naomi being suspended without pay. Fightful noted they hadn't confirmed whether that was true at this time, but has been told what was described as a WWE quote higher up that if the two were suspended without pay, it was unlikely their contracts would be frozen, as some have speculated may happen. Fightful then stated they were working to get confirmation on the factoid at this time. If Naomi and Banks' contracts aren't frozen, it opens up the possibility that both could be free agents later this summer. Meltzer had previously reported that Naomi's contract was set to expire within the next couple of months, and former WWE writer Kazim Famuade later stated that Banks' deal was also up soon too. It should be stressed that no confirmation has been given at this time that Banks and Naomi's deals haven't been frozen. The report concluded by stating several within WWE originally didn't want to strip Banks and Naomi of their WWE Women's Tag Team Championships, but ultimately did so when it became apparent a solution couldn't be reached, and that there's no update on when a tournament to crown new tag team champions could take place. It was noted by Brian Alvarez on Wrestling Observer Radio this morning that Women's Tag Titles tournament hasn't been mentioned at all on WWE Raw. Throughout these 2 weeks, both Banks and Naomi have remained silent, though Banks has been spotted in public and Naomi removed mentions from WWE from her Twitter. Meanwhile, WWE had another case of an advertised match not going as planned this week when Lacey Evans' return match didn't occur despite being promoted for a week. No statement was released why regarding the match did not take place. Bray Wyatt on the verge of WWE comeback. Could Wyndham Rotunda, formerly known as Bray Wyatt, be making his return to WWE at Sunday's Hell in a Cell Premium Live event, or could he perhaps show up at AEW's debut show in Los Angeles tonight? If you've glanced at Rotunda's Twitter account last night, you'd be justified in expecting his imminent comeback. For starters, Rotunda changed his Twitter name from a previous red circle to Wyatt6, which fans immediately perceived as a sign of a comeback at Hell in a Cell, scheduled 6 days from the time of the name change, although his handle remains at Wyndham6, a change he made last October upon serving his 90-day WWE non-compete clause. Rotunda bringing back Wyatt to his Twitter name has given a ton of hope to WWE fans hoping for his comeback. Furthermore, Rotunda changed his profile picture to an image of what appears to be a moth flipped upside down with red scribbles drawn over its head. If you look closely, however, you can see the Fiend's face. Shortly thereafter, Rotunda seemingly made a reference to his WWE release last July, referring to it as a period of horrible suffering, but not before admitting that he's over the pain and he's got SHIT to do now. Quote, "Everything good that's ever happened to me first came at a period of horrible suffering. I never ask why, I just wait for a rough part to end. I was chosen for whatever reason, and I've got shit to do. It doesn't hurt anymore, it burns. I'm ready now." That's not all. About an hour later, Rotunda expressed his disdain for, quote, "irrelevant clowns making assumptions about his personal character and what led to his departure from WWE. Quote, "I'm tired of watching, tired of hearing irrelevant clowns speculate how I'll be perceived, tired of hearing about my greed, my desire questioned. Wherever and whenever I decide to return, I'll remind everyone why they know my name, again and again. Believe in it, hashtag I found it." Rotunda's final tweet seemed to prepare his Fireflies for the inevitable. Quote, "Patience, it's almost time." Although Rotunda's tweet seemingly hints at a WWE comeback, it would be premature to rule out an All Elite debut, especially with AEW debuting in Los Angeles tonight, with executives of Warner Bros. Discovery in attendance. That said, a report last month suggested that Rotunda has a, quote, "very high asking price," end quote, to return to wrestling, which led to his previous talks with AEW falling apart. Rotunda was reportedly making in excess of $4 million a year in WWE prior to his release.
So what are your thoughts on today's Wrestling News Roundup? Let me know your thoughts in the comment section below. Be sure to like and subscribe to Wrestling Inc. and I'll speak to you again very, very soon.